I'm going to call upon Drew in Washington. I summon you, Drew. I summon you before us. Drew, him, from Washington. Drew wants advice on how to respond to a friend who gets mad when they discuss religion. Tell us about this friend, Drew. You're on the Talk Heathen YouTube program with Kenneth, Leonard, and Johnny P. Angel.
Hi. So like not too long ago, because I'm almost out of school, right? Like this was like before COVID hit, I'm pretty sure. I was in art class with my Christian friend, and like he's not like one of those overly Christian ones. He's like bisexual and stuff, right? Anyway, so I was sitting there, and he said that God was real and all this stuff, and I simply said God isn't real, and he's like, "Oh my God, you can't say that. That's offensive." I was like, "I'm not telling you that you can't believe that," and I feel like it's kind of not fair that they get it like say all the time, like, "Oh yeah, God's real," and it doesn't offend anyone. But the moment I say God isn't real, it's suddenly offensive as hell, and I don't even know how to respond to it. So like, how do I? Also, I have another question afterwards because I like thought of one as you guys were talking.
Yeah, we do that a lot. You know what I do? I don't say that God isn't real, although I'm totally thinking it. Whenever I get that, I usually think, I mean, okay, folks out there and who are afraid to call in, as in the theists who are nasties. I don't think God's real. I'm pretty fairly sure that God isn't real, but I can't prove it. I just don't believe that God exists. I'm certain that I don't believe that God exists, and that's what I say. I say, well, I don't believe that God exists. Do you have some evidence? I'd love to hear that evidence because I'm living in this world with you and you're convinced. So what have you seen that I haven't? What arguments have you heard that I haven't? And if you tell me to look at the trees and if you tell me that there's prophecies, it's probably not going to cut it, but give it to me anyway. It's a softer position, and it'll produce a conversation rather than a confrontation. That's my advice. Kenneth?
My advice would be everything here is like situational, depending on what your goals are. If your goal is to just maintain a friendship with this person and not rock the boat, and maybe just don't talk about religion with them. If your goal is to try to have thought-provoking, meaningful discussions, then there's a lot of different ways that could go. But you got to be aware. Some people don't want to have thought-provoking, meaningful discussions. They just want to believe the stuff that they believe and talk about it and not have any pushback whatsoever. And that's what they want. And when you run up against that, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to have thought-provoking, meaningful conversations with those folks. Like the old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it think. It goes something like that, right? So if your friend's just like, I want to talk about my God and my Jesus and my whatever, and I don't give a fuck what you think, then your hands are pretty tied, and you might just need to get new friends or bite your tongue.
Yeah, I've talked a lot, and I always talk about how I talk a lot about my friend who's a young Earth creationist, gun-toting, very conservative dude, ex-Marine, good friend of mine. We don't agree on anything, but we agree on everything. It's just we get bogged down in the things we get bogged up in the things that we agree on. And then when we start skirting around the whole religion and mythology and hocus pocus subject, we like bump heads and then laugh about it and then go off on our own way. If your friend really wants to have the conversation, engage, be very aware that desire may be ephemeral. Like, oh, I want to talk about it. Oh, I just got pushed back a little bit. Be aware. Ephemeral is here for a short time, non-permanent.
Okay.
Wisp, will of the wisp. I should have a
say words that make sense.
Well, I should look it up if I can't define it. But yeah, just in passing, it's a passing whim that your friend might want to talk about it because they might be afraid of not being able to, much like I can't define ephemeral off the top of my head, be able to cite the reasons why the friend believes in, I don't know, Frigga or something, some Norse person. So, because is this person a Christian, by the way, or is this person a Muslim or Odinist?
Christian.
Is Christian? Okay, sorry. Yeah, they might just believe because they believe. And when you talk about it, it might affect them on an emotional level, that they feel personally hurt by you questioning something that's so close to them. So be aware of that. Is this person toxic to the community around them because of their Christianity? I ask you.
Not really, but then again, I don't really open up about my atheism at school. Like, I do occasionally.
Yeah.
And most people are just pretty chill about it. Like, one of my Christian friends, she's also bisexual. I talked to her and I was like, oh, I feel like it's kind of weird whenever you like start doing this kind of preaching thing. That's just like, oh yeah, he and this all that stuff, you know, when talking about Jesus or God or whatever, and the love of the Lord or whatever, and it's like feels kind of overwhelming and weird to me. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. She like, it depends on who you're talking to, and most people are just pretty chill about it in general. So it's not like he was necessarily toxic to the rest of the community because of that, but there are instances where it does become toxic because of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That can happen. And so I guess you have to decide, are you the right person to have that conversation? Do you want to associate with this person if they are toxic? And what is your definition of toxic? A person can just have a belief set, and some people are very offended by the very notion of religion because they have their own religious baggage that they grew up with. Are they dehumanizing other people? Is this person dehumanizing others that you socialize with, or others generally?
Kind of, but not really, like, because I'm like trans. A couple times he did just call me like a tranny or he, she or something.
Oh,
that's pretty fucking toxic.
That's pretty toxic, yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
he wasn't necessarily doing it to be
toxic.
rude, I don't think, but it wasn't very nice of him.
No, I would go so far as to say that that's pretty awful. I don't know if that's a radical position these days amongst thoughtful folks, but this is a friend of yours or an associate?
When people start dropping super offensive slurs in conversation, like,
no,
it's very charitable of you to be like, I don't think they meant to be, you know, offensive or whatever. But
yeah. Hey, you know, you don't have to hang out with this person. I'm going to give you permission that you need mine. But is this a friend, though, or is this just somebody in your circle of friends? Well, I got nothing on this end. So, you know, Kenneth, let's just finish that thought up. We are under no obligation to associate with people who use terrible slurs, right?
Yeah, no. One thing that came to mind was if having better, more productive one-on-one conversations with people about what they believe is something you're interested in. I have benefited tremendously from Anthony Magnabosco's work on this in this area. So and the whole street epistemology approach, just asking lots of questions and learning how to do that more effectively might be something you check out, Drew. But yeah, the instant someone calls you a tranny, you might want to just say fuck them and not talk to them anymore. But that's just me. I don't know. That's just me.
Fuck off. You want to know, folks out there in the audience, we're here in this environment, right? With my hands. We're in this environment where we are talking with people in a very safe environment.
In the vacuum of space.
In the vacuum of space. We don't ask how we can communicate with each other. It's through bone induction. All right. And
you'll record.
We are under no obligation to go out in the real life, and you aren't either, to have conversations with people that use terrible slurs like that. Because here's the thing. If a person is brazen enough, if I may use the word brazen, to call you a slur like that, how far away are they from not just using words, but then using physical actions? This person probably votes against your interest. This person probably supports movements that would in other ways dehumanize you. And I frankly don't feel you've got to get into a tussle with them because you see people on YouTube or other places having these conversations. This is a very different environment. So with all that said, if you do feel safe and this person has shown themselves to be a misguided associate or friend, tread carefully, but don't put up with anybody's shit.
Yeah.
You don't owe them an explanation for who you are. You don't have to define yourself to a degree that they will accept you. They can just fuck off. That is an option in your life. They can just fuck off and never come back.